Welcome back. I am Rich Spoon Campbell. I was joined by Frodan, but he just ran off to hair and makeup. Pretty sure he's getting ready for that grand final match, which is just around the corner. But before we can join him there, we are going to close out this series. If you are just tuning in, it has been a close one. Puffin versus Zen Styles. It's 2-2. We're about to enter Game 5, and it is Oil Rogue versus Tempo Mage. Whoever wins this, going to the grand finals. Jumping right on in. Wow, this is a powerful hand right off the bat for Zen Style on the Tempo Mage. He's got a Mana Worm and a fistful of pennies to make sure it snowballs. And he waits for Puffin to mulligan his hand before he reveals the fact that he's keeping 3 cards. Besides the fact that he has such a powerful hand, Zen Style also going to get the coin, which is coveted in this matchup because it is so good on Oil Rogue and it is so good on Tempo Mage because of all the combo potential that it actually has for both of these archetypes. Standard start coming out from both of these guys. We're going to see the Mana Worm, and we're going to see a Happy Feast of Wintervale. All right, Puffin with a little bit of BM right out of the gates, showing just how cocky he really is, but he deserves to be cocky. He has been looking so strong, actually winning that Tavern Showdown. That's the reason he's here, and he has looked good throughout this tournament, and he's looked good throughout this series. But Zen Style has a pretty big choice here. He could play that second Mana Worm and just really take the board. Gonna choose not to. And that just shows that Zen Style really does respect the removal suite that Rogue has at his disposal. He could use a Deadly Poison and a Blade Flurry to actually remove the entire board, and then he'd have no minions in hand as the Tempo Mage. But even here, Puffin just able to remove the entire board. Going to expel quite a lot of gas to do it, but definitely worth it, because if he can survive the early game aggression that Tempo Mage can put on, he's favored to win this matchup. This matchup, by the way, it's just such a great matchup for it to all come down to, because Oil Rogue and Tempo Mage, just very even matchup. A lot of things have to go right for both players for it to be a cakewalk, but Zen Style has really expended most of his gas here. He only has a Mirror Entity and a Fireball. Puffin's hand looks pretty bad, but it's actually a little bit better than you would think. The only turn 4 play that he has is Oil, and most people would not play the Oil here because they want to try to get full value out of the Oil. But playing the Oil here, it's a pretty smart move. I like the fact that he decided to do it. He sees that the card has immediate value here, and maybe holding on to it would just be greedy. And coming into turn 5, he has the Azure Drake, which is pretty much a windmill slam for the Oil Rogue. It's going to buff every card in your hand, and it's going to draw you another one. And on top of that, it's a 4/4 body. And yeah, Zen Style really doesn't have an answer to getting that minion cleared. He can try to buy a little bit of time with these taunts, but he's going to lose buffing out another minion. He does have the Mirror Entity, and actually, Puffin, instead of windmill slamming that Azure Drake down, is going to choose to play the Sludge Belcher. I think the reason he did that was because he wanted to avoid giving any spell power to the Tempo Mage, which could prove to be somewhat fatal. And yet he's actually going to pull a Fireball with that Sludge Belcher, and we're probably going to see Zen Style move that Sludge Belcher right into that 1/2. So Zen Style having a little bit of a board here, but his hand is just still clunky. He's got an Archmage Antonidas and a coin, and he's going into turn 6. He definitely doesn't want to just play Archmage Antonidas onto the table. I was worried that Zen Style would be on tilt after losing to the Puffin Zulok last game, but it doesn't appear to be the case. He's just having a really rough hand, but this Unstable Portal could actually draw him something. Let's see what he pulls out of it. That's a Kel'Thuzad. He actually pulls a Kel'Thuzad out of the Unstable Portal. That could be pretty big. Actually, the more that I'm thinking about it, the Kel'Thuzad's probably not as good as your knee-jerk reaction would tell you that it is, because Zen Style doesn't really have a board here. He can play the Kel'Thuzad, but he doesn't have any minions to instantly trade into Puffin's board, so he's not actually going to get any guaranteed value out of the Kel'Thuzad. This Lotheb's pretty smart here. He knows that Zen Style could play something like an Archmage Antonidas or a Flamewaker next turn, and shutting down any potential to play spells, including the coin, is really going to do a lot. And yeah, Zen Style, the hand remains clunky even after that Esportal. It just wasn't enough. The Kel'Thuzad, not the correct answer here. It's just been rough for Zen Style, being such a dominant player in the scene for so long. And now Puffin, another one of these powerhouse newcomers, really having a great game here. Zen Styles last year has just been rough. I don't see any outs in his hand. I'm curious to see if he draws maybe a Flame Waker or something of the like, he can get back into this. But Puffin is far enough ahead here. He's actually going to sprint without a preparation here. His board's already so big, he's just going to continue to draw threats. One of those threats that he does draw is actually a Dr. Boom, which would have been an incredible card for Zen Style to draw. Dr. Boom is just such a hard card for Rogue to remove. Another card that would have been great for Zen Style is the Water Elemental. We know that he has 2 of them in this list, and that card just tends to be the bane of weapon classes. And against Rogue, the 6 health is another thing that's hard to remove. Yeah, Zen Style gonna decide to use the Arcane Intellect here. He just really wants to take back the board, not with just 1 minion. He wants to be able to flood a little bit and actually establish some tempo. But he's forced to play the Kel'Thuzad here. Actually, I really do like the Kel'Thuzad play, because if Puffin decides he has 8 damage on board that he could use to clear the Kel'Thuzad, but if he does that, Archmage Antonidas into the coin, into a counterspell, will actually give Zen Style lethal. That sap is so good for Puffin. Not only does it prevent him from taking the face damage right off the bat, but it makes the Kel'Thuzad that much worse. It makes the hand of Zen Style that much clunkier. Because now, instead of costing 5 mana, the Kel'Thuzad's going to cost the 8. He doesn't have that unstable portal, the discount that you get from that card. And we're going to see that play that I described a little bit earlier, the Archmage Antonidas into the coin, into the counterspell. And yeah, if Puffin decided to remove that minion with weapon damage, he would have died next turn. But now he has a very safe Violet Teacher, and he's going to be able to just get students all over this board. And it looks like that's going to be enough to actually take Zen Style back to school. Here it is. He's going to check the secret with the backstab. Not a problem. He has another one where that came from. Going to remove the Archmage Antonidas. 12 damage in hand for Zen Style. But he needs to find a way to push through that extra damage. And it's looking pretty grim. I think Flame Waker is probably the most likely play next turn. He could play a Flame Waker and remove the 5/5 and try to get lucky on the missiles, but most likely going to leave that Violet Teacher onto the board. And we know that Puffin has the Dr. Boom in hand. Oh yeah, actually going to play the Eviscerate into the face here. Just really going to try to secure lethal. Oh, Mirror Image. Kind of a good top deck. We'll have to see how this one plays out. Yeah, smart play using the Fireball here to remove that Loatheb. Going to make those Arcane Missiles that much better. And yeah, he's going to remove 2 minions here. Going to get the Mirror Image down. Remove another 2, hopefully. No, he's only going to remove 1. Going to use the Hero Power to remove another one. Nothing can stop me. Yeah, Zen Style starting to feel himself a little bit. Taking back the board somewhat. But we know Puffin has plenty of answers here. And a heal bot. He's got the second Blade Flurry. He doesn't really have anything to buff his weapon at this point. And he has lost the spell power. So the Blade Flurry is not too great. He's going to choose to prep it. It's going to get him 2 extra minions onto the board, which is a lot in this matchup right now. And yeah, he's going to be able to trade in with the weapon and one of the minions on the 1/1, and he's going to trade the Violet Teacher in and completely clear the board. I don't even think anything could buy Puffin another turn. An Ethereal Conjurer could buy him another turn. We'll have to see what he pulls. Cone of Cold's not going to be enough. Yeah, I think the only thing that really could have bought him an extra turn would have been... Yeah, if he got a Frost Nova, he could have maybe bought himself an extra turn. He almost just died to Boombots there. That's a bummer. Yeah, but he would have bought himself an extra turn, but I don't think anything could have put him back into the game. Oh man, more BM from Puffin. Gonna actually play a heal bot here. Remove the 6/3. Use all of his cards. That's going to be game for Zen Styles. One last happy feast of Wintervale. And that's going to end Zen Styles' journey. And that is going to push Puffin into that grand final matchup. There you have it. Puffin is going to be going to the grand finals. Congratulations, Puffin. I do want to take a quick second, though, to shout out to my boy Zen Styles. Zen Styles, you looked great, but I think you may be better suited being a caster. If you want to try casting with me, go ahead and tweet at me at Rich W. Campbell. Everyone, I'm going to be back for the grand finals, where I will be at the desk yet again, joined by Frodan. But we have Rachel on the floor right now with Puffin for a post-match interview. Rachel?